ಇಂದಿನ ಅನುಕ್ಷಣ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೂ ಕಲಿಯೋಣ ಕಲಿಕೆಯ ಹೊಸ ಹಾದಿಯಲಿ ಜೊತೆಗೂಡಿ ಹೆಜ್ಜೆಯ ಹಾಕೋಣ ಸಂತಸದಿ ಕಲಿಯೋಣ ನಮ್ಮ ಹೆಮ್ಮೆಯ ಈ ಕ್ಲಾಸಿನಲ್ಲಿ.
Yes, sir. Yes, teacher. Present, ma'am.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Doordarshana e-learning classes. Today we are going to study about SSLC third language English, and our concern is unit number 2, that is at the zoo. So I am Veeresh Savdi from Koppal. See, in the examination we have to focus on exams. We have very short answers, multiple choice questions carrying 1 mark each. We can have this from lesson. Second one, we also have, in some cases, we also have short answer type 2 or RC question, which is reference to the context, carrying 3 marks each from this lesson. This analysis is made on the basis of SSLC board previous examination papers. Let's move on to the lesson at the zoo. Coming to storyline part, so the student need to understand the importance of forest, why forests are important, so which is home of animals and many other creatures are depending on forest for food and shelter. It is the abode of many animals, and even man is dependent on forest for many issues, for many needs and requirements of his. Even human being is also dependent on forest. And once up, due to technological developments and technological advancement, so we have been losing the forest. So hence extinct of forest leads to many problems, especially with respect to wild animals. So because of man's needs, all this is going to happen, and there is a need for separate home for animals, and that has been carried out in the form of zoo. So because though ban on cutting trees is there, still in many cases, in many situations, man is cutting trees, and hence forest is coming down down every year. Hence the requirement for zoo, so which is the abode of a new abode of animals, so where all the animals, wild and domestic, have been kept so that they can live their life happily. So zoo is nothing but a miniature of wildlife. For example, you can name many. One the most important in Karnataka is Mysore Zoo, where you can find many of the animals. So have you ever been to zoo? As you might be. So there, what all the things you can see? What all the animals, birds, bees, and many all. You can make an activity here. You can list all the animals, the bees, birds, and insect, everything. You can make a list so that you will be familiar with forest life. Next up, always it has been since centuries, always man versus animals, wild versus man. So this is going on. It is a debatable issue nowadays. Now there are many reasons for this. Always man needs more advancement due to technological developments. So he is focused more on his goals than nurturing or conserving the forest. So you also think of steps to be taken to conserve the forest and the forest life, that is wildlife. Then comes, let's understand the new words from this lesson. First one is saddle. Saddle is leather seat on the horse or the elephant. So a something seat is made, so where a person sits, and that is called saddle. To use that in your example, I sat on the I sat on the saddle to ride the horse. Then next word, it is girth. It is strap around the horse or elephant. A leather strap will be there to in the seating of a elephant, of an elephant or horse. That is called girth. And then third one is a paddock. A paddock is nothing but small field where animals are chandan. Next, fourth one, tumble. It's fall quickly without any control, so falling immediately. A man tumbled from the building. And antelope. So antelope is with the branched horns of a deer. It's a kind of it's a deer with horns. That's called antelope. So I saw many antelopes in the zoo. And then comes cargo. Cargo is nothing but the goods carried by either ship or plane. Even sometimes even animals have been used, but nowadays it has been banned to use animals for cargoing or something. Now it is not there. I received the cargo today. Let's go to content. Here we are going to read the lesson. Okay. And important words or issues or names or some points have been marked, highlighted, so that it is useful for you to understand the lesson still better. Content. My dear Vishnu, it is in the letter format. Already you have studied how to write letters and types of letters, how to what are the different parts of letter and all. So this lesson is focused on in the form of letter. My dear Vishnu, so it is a salutation. Vijaypur is there, that is the place where this letter has been written, and it is 17th Feb 1959, the date of letter written. I promised you letter, and here it is. So it's a conversational talk. It's a friendly talk in the first paragraph, as you know already. It is all about monkeys, elephants, camels, and other beasts that I saw in a zoo. Then, the animal I saw first. Normally, once in an examination it was asked, what was the first one? Gopi. The person written at the end, you will find it out. So, is Gopi, and the question is asked on that. Which is the first one to see in the zoo by Gopi. The animal I saw first were the elephants. There were a baby elephant, a mother elephant, and a grandpa elephant. So total 3 elephants: baby, mother, and grandpa. The baby elephant was rocking through its chained legs. It was chained, though it was chained, it was happy, and it was happy enough to be there. And then but the mother elephant was looking sad because it was chained, baby was chained, that why it was sad. The grandpa elephant was saddled and girthed with the trappings. So grandpa elephant was completely saddled for seating and everything, because it has to cargo the children who have come for visiting the zoo. The keeper, the one who maintains the elephant, the keeper had unchained its legs. He has removed all the chains from the grandpa elephant's leg, and the elephant was moving about with a cargo of excited children on its back, because that grandpa elephant was about to carry the children on its back so that children enjoy the zoo. At this sight, by seeing this, I was reminded of the ambition of my childhood to ride on an elephant. But alas, I was now no longer a child. So Gopi, the writer of this content, so has dreamt in the childhood that he wanted to ride on the back of elephant. So now it has been coming true. But now he is not a child. He is grown up, and he doesn't want to be a cargo. He doesn't want to go on to elephant's back. And next I moved on to see the camels. How ugly the bees are. They look very abnormal. They have a big hump on its back. Camels are also known as the ship of the desert, but they looked kind and good. The one the gopis saw in the zoo were very kind and good enough. Nearby was an antelope paddock, and I went there. I saw a very young antelope racing madly around. It leaped, so all antelopes were leaping, sprang, and turned around and round and round, faster and faster. So just they were having their movements. After a while, it stopped all of a sudden and stood still, none of the worse for its antics. Then it tumbled down in the very middle of the heap of grass, and as I left the place, I saw it fast asleep there. So here Gopi is going through the different animals in the zoo. He saw different elephants, camels, padlocks, and antelopes, and everything. He is writing about the movements of those animals. Not from there he moves on to next there where he finds deer. Not far off were deer, cranes, storks. The deer were romping. Here the students, you need to understand what all the animals, make a list of animals Gopi has seen in the zoo and what were they doing. One more question might come here. The deer were romping. Here deer is highlighted and romping is highlighted. The cranes were doing their daily wing exercise, and the noisy storks were making a loud din. Amid all this clatter, a stork was having a quiet doze, so it was sleeping there. Standing on one leg, it looked as if it would topple over, but it never did. So it was looking as if it is going to fall down, but it was not. Next, I saw a giraffe. Normally, from this paragraph, there will be a question. It towered high. It was very tall animal above the other animals. It was standing by the huge shed intended for its house and eating the leaves from a tall tree. What a strange creature this animal is. So here you have to focus the height of the giraffe, and it was eating leaves from tall trees. Both the points you have to notice. Then he finds there were lions, tigers, polar bears, monkeys, and other beasts in the zoo. There were many beautiful and colorful parrots, snow white cockatoos, and funny ducks gliding across the pond. He comes across the pond where he finds many creatures. I would like to discuss the need for maintaining a zoo. VIPs and VVIPs have started adopting certain caged birds and animals. I have a dilemma in my mind. There were lions. Is it right to capture and cage birds and animals? He asked himself a question. So now you ask yourself, was it good to keep those wild animals in a cage and prohibiting them from their natural life? This is not fair, and it has to be avoided. On the other hand, the newspaper brings us conflict, that is man versus wild animals or something like. Always the debate has been going on. Okay, let me write in detail about the subject in my next letter. With the love to father, mother, Kasturi, and you, I am your affectionate brother Gopi. Here Gopi is writing to his brother about his visit to zoo. Here what points you need to remember is, see here there is a list of animals you have come across in this lesson, and they have been doing something. So here exactly you have to remember what. The first one you see is elephants, and there were 3 elephants in total, and one was baby which was rocking though it was chained. Okay, and second one was mother, that is mother elephant, and it was looking sad because its baby was chained. And the third one, grandpa, it was saddled and girthed with trappings, unchained. Later the keeper unchained it because he wanted children to sit on elephant's back. Next up, camel. So they looked very ugly, but were kind enough and good. And comes antelope. So they were young, racing madly. They were leaped, springing here and there, turned around and round and round. They were making all that, and they were running very faster. There comes a deer. There comes deer, and so they were romping here and there. And there comes cranes, daily wing exercise they were doing, and storks. In case of storks, they were noisy, making a lot of loud din, and some were dozing, they were sleeping, and standing on one leg, and seems to fall any time. And giraffe or giraffe, so they were very tall and strange, and they were eating leaves from the tall trees. And others case, so there were lions, tigers, polar bears, monkeys, and other beasts, beautiful and colorful parrots, snow white cockatoos, and funny ducks gliding across the pond. These were the animals we can come across in the lesson. And here are some questions. So from this lesson, and these questions have been asked in the SSLC annual exam and supplementary exam cases. And the first question I am going to take is 2 marks question. Answer the following questions in 2 or 3 sentences each. This would be the instruction. And you have to answer around 15 to 20 words or in 2 or 3 sentences each. And here is a question from 2020 September, that is supplementary examination. What makes giraffe a strange creature? Answer is, giraffe is towered high above the animals, and it was eating the leaves from a tall tree. And from 2020 April, there is a question, how is antelope described in the lesson at the zoo? And the answer is, a very young antelope racing madly around. It leaped, sprang, and turned around and round and round, and ran faster and faster. And from 2019 supplementary exam, there is one more question. What was the young antelope doing in the zoo? And a very young antelope racing madly around. Again, the answer would be same. It leaped, sprang, turned around, and ran faster. It tumbled down very middle of a heap of grass. And then comes next question from 2018 April, that is, what made Gopi to remember the ambition of his childhood in the lesson at the zoo? Already I mentioned when I was going through content, as it was the dream of Gopi to visit to a zoo. And that is, Gopi saw an elephant in the zoo. This made him to remember the ambition of his childhood to ride on an elephant. And from 2018 June, there is a question, why was the mother elephant looking sad? It was the baby elephant was rocking, though it was chained legs. That is why the mother elephant was looking sad. The reason for mother's unhappiness or sadness is, so its baby was chained. And from 2019 April, there is one more question. What did Gopi write about giraffe in his letter to Vishnu? Gopi had promised Vishnu of writing a letter to his visit to the zoo. So let's move on to some grammatical aspects in very short, in brief, because today we are going to take voices, that is active voice and passive voice in today's session. As it is part of a content lesson, so we are taking it very briefly. And in detail, we have another session specially focused on voices. We will study that in detail, but here we are going to have it very briefly. That is, so there are 2 special forms of verbs called voice, and one is active voice and another is passive voice. And active voice is normally a normal voice. It is a normally spoken where doer or action doer is given focus. The person doing the work is important. This is the voice that we use most of the time. You are probably already familiar with the active voice. In the active voice, the object receives the action of the verb. So in short, in an ordinary word, if you want to put it, so normally in active voice, the doer of the action is important, not the action itself. Here, we have subject, verb and object. In case of this, we have an example: cats eat rats. So cats is the subject, it is verb, and object is rats. So whereas passive voice, so the passive voice is less usual. Normally it is, so this is used only when subject receives the action, that is where action is important, passive voice, where the person doing the action is important, active voice. Here, so it has been changed, the earlier sentence has been changed to passive voice, that is rats are eaten by cats. So here you need to focus how active voice is decided. Okay, everybody drinks water, active sentence is there. Everybody is the subject and drinks is verb, and water is object. Water is drunk by everybody, that is water, object. The subject of the active voice becomes object, and object of the active voice becomes subject, and verb in the middle, but it changes its verb form. So that is the thing. So water is drunk by everybody. So the object of the active verb becomes the subject of the passive verb. So only sentences containing direct objects can be made into passive sentence, because indirect objects normally don't take passive form, because the direct object have the active sentence becomes the subject of the passive sentence. If the sentence does not have a direct object, you cannot change it into passive voice or passive sentence. Here is an example. He writes notes. Here notes is the direct object, and hence we call it as active sentence. He goes home. Here home is not direct object, we call it as indirect object, hence we cannot change that into an into passive sentence. So hence it is not an active sentence, we cannot change that into passive. Here is a chart you can go through. Cervantes wrote Don Quixote. Okay, so here 3, 2, 1, why it is written? So the order of that object has become subject, that I want to mention. So check it. It is the we call it as structure of passive voice. The main verb is always in its past participle form. So normally in the third case, here check the sentence. So the form structure is subject. First one is the subject, that is Cervantes. The top line is active voice and the bottom line is passive voice. So here subject, auxiliary verb is there and the main verb is there. But in case of passive, when you change it, the Don Quixote, which is the object of an active voice, that becomes the subject of the passive. And whereas Cervantes is the subject of active voice, that has become object case in case of passive. Wrote, again verb, but it is in the second V2 form or second form or past form, but it has changed to changes its form. Here to be verb was is used and main verb is kept in the past participle form, or else we can call it as third form or V3 form. So here we have an example. He writes a good story. Could you change this? Yes. And one more question from the lesson. They played cricket. The first one you will have an answer. A good story, which is an object, is taken as subject, and is written, writes changes to is written, and object is placed by him, that is by is used and he changes to him, its objective form. And for the second sentence, that is they played cricket, cricket was played by them. And here we have some exercise questions which have come in your textbook. So we have taken 5 examples here, that is she bought new car, Rakshit killed a snake, Sheila prepared food, he posted a letter, she gave a speech. So these are the 5 sentences we have taken from the lesson. And the first one is she bought a new car. What would be the answer? Yes, a new car was bought by her. And for the second sentence, that is Rakshit killed a snake was killed by Rakshit. And then comes to Sheila prepared food and food was prepared by Sheila. And the fourth sentence is he posted a letter and a letter was posted by him. She gave a speech and that was changed to passive as a speech was given by her. And let's refer some board papers. In exam also, this question has been asked, and from 2020 supplementary exam, we have, from this lesson, there is a question, what makes giraffe a strange creature? That is taken, and how antelope is described in the lesson at the zoo. So again, we have discussed this, a very young antelope was racing madly and all. So then from 2019 supplementary, we have one more 2 marks question, and from 4 TB papers. So this is from active voice and passive voice. At the left side you have questions, and at the right side you have answers, that is active voice at the left and passive is at the right side. From 2020 supplementary, we have Graham Bell invented telephone, and it was changed into passive as telephone was invented by Graham Bell. And from 2020 April, Sheila prepared food, and food was prepared by Sheila. And from 2019 June, the teacher described the experiment was described by the teacher. And 2019 April, he narrated a story was narrated by him. From 2018 June, Alfia gave a nice speech, and a nice speech was given by Alfia. And from 2018 April, they played cricket was played by them. So like this, we have discussed unit number 2 of third language English for Urdu medium, and we have also discussed some grammar aspects like active voice and passive voice, the basics. Normally from this lesson 2 marks essay type question will be there, and 1 active voice and passive voice question will be there. Okay, you need to focus on these 2 important things. Okay, I hope you have understood the content, and thank you for watching the session. Here I am, Veera Saudi, signing off from the session. Thank you very much.
ಅನುದಿನ ಅನುಕ್ಷಣ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೂ ಕಲಿಯೋಣ, ಕಲಿಕೆಯ ಹೊಸ ಹಾದಿಯಲಿ ಜೊತೆಗೂಡಿ ಹೆಜ್ಜೆಯ ಹಾಕೋಣ, ಸಂತಸದಿ ಕಲಿಯೋಣ ನಮ್ಮ ಹೆಮ್ಮೆಯ ಈ ಕ್ಲಾಸಿನಲ್ಲಿ.
Yes, sir. Yes, teacher. Present, ma'am.